Hey, what is good, everyone? How are you guys doing? You want to see something cool? Because I got something really cool for you. Just give me 1 second here. We're taking a little tour. Hello. Hi there, Kiriko. Yeah, she's been lying there for hours now. And I think talking is waking her up. So she'll probably attack me very soon. But she's cute, so that's totally fine. Anyways, thank you for being here, everybody, who is actually here. Hey Tony, how are you doing? I am very sorry for what happened on Wednesday. The the fixed driver crashed the stream and I couldn't get it to get back online. So we had to kind of just stop after an hour, which was unfortunate. And I want to show you something else that is really cool, and that is this. Look at that. April 30th. That was Wednesday, where in the evening they actually released a hotfix for the hotfix. And I have not installed that, obviously, because I am scared to death. I re-rolled my driver to like 2 months ago or something, and it's been working so far. At least every test I've run has been working, so we're gonna assume that I don't crash today. I just saw my camera crash again, but honestly, I got no clue why that happens. Really, I gotta try out a different camera maybe next week, but you gotta live with it for now. Is your PC powerful enough to handle Higurashi? I have no idea. I think we're gonna run into some problems here. No, but seriously, the situation with Nvidia's um current driver sets has been abysmal for months. And the last actually considered stable driver for Nvidia graphics cards was released at the end of December. I'm not going back that far because I've got a bunch of videos for fairly recent games in the works where I need the more modern drivers to properly run them. So we gotta deal with this for now. I can't really do anything else. I am unfortunately not rich enough to own a streaming PC, like a secondary PC that I can use just for streaming, where I can have like everything perfectly working. I'm streaming from my daily use PC, so issues happen. I'm sorry. Anyways, Higurashi. We're probably gonna finish today. Which is why I said, if you remember that we are gonna do something a bit unusual today and read some of the tips or hints or whatever they're called. Also, hey Kameo, if you're still here, thank you for dropping by. Let me just grab my camera setup here so that I can not be in the way for when we actually start the game. Look at that floating Noji. Was it around here? I think I actually hit this perfectly well. I don't go through this. Yeah, yeah. This is good. Mirror it. There we go. And now I look okay. Perfect. Like that. Yes. Amazing. Yeah. So I'm gonna start the game now. We're gonna have, I think it's actually just the last chapter, and we have like 4 hours today, so we're just gonna take our time, read through it. Maybe at the end, depending on how many of you are here. And opening. I don't want to get copyright struck again, because last time that happened, and that was not fun. So we're not gonna watch the opening more than once. All right, I think we are actually at a point where we can read the tips. Yes. And it kind of looks to me like so far none of the usual Higurashi viewers except for Tony are here, so I don't want to jump into the last chapter like that. Maybe give them a few more minutes. I know Dinkler wanted to drop by. So we're gonna read some tips now and just I don't know if you're wearing headphones, but this sound caught me off guard. It's all around you. That was cool. I like the mixing. Yeah. Yeah, I like this a lot. Okay, so are there any good ones that you're supposed to read? You know, that are important for the story? Music is a bit loud. Okay, give me a second. Maybe like that, and then turn it down here. Now it should be a bit more quiet. I still have a lot of wiggling room, so I can turn it very, very quiet if you need me to. It might just be that this specific theme is very loud, though. We're gonna read them from the back. We're gonna read Mother's Diary 1, 2, and 3, because I think those were the ones we got for the last chapter. And I'm not gonna voice act this because it's inner monologue anyways, right? I don't know the mother. There was something I didn't like about my child. I first realized it when I started writing these things down. They never warn you about it in any books about raising children, but they aren't just a plaything. I mean, duh. If they aren't able to feel loved, even when they're not doing exactly as their parents want them to, then those parents are failures. This wasn't something like that, though. How can I say it? It's probably harder to express with mere words. I just want my child to be average. For an Asian parent's view, this is pretty reasonable, I'd say. As long as they weren't falling behind, there wasn't any need for them to excel at something. As long as they acted appropriately for their age, I would have been fine with it. But my child had been different ever since kindergarten. While the children in her class were running around in excitement about the field trip the next day, she only wore a bored look on her face, aloof and distant. I wonder who this is about. It's obviously about a girl. Have we met a mother in this game? Except for Keiichi's. We haven't met Rena's. We haven't met Mion's. I think she's dead. Sadako's parents are dead, and Rika's are dead. All the parents in this game are dead. The only one that isn't is Rena's dad, and he doesn't have a sprite, so he's basically dead. When the other kids broke the equipment for the athletics festival and were apologizing fervently, she only wore a bored look on her face, aloof and distant. When the teacher was reading a fun picture book, only she wasn't smiling. Even if they all got to eat a delicious bento, only she wasn't happy. If it was only this, it would still be in the realm of understanding. Maybe take her to a therapist. However, what I don't understand about my child is that if the aforementioned situations happened again, they'd now act in a manner befitting their age. I don't understand the principle behind that as a parent. Why were they indifferent about that field trip but happy about this one? Why were they indifferent about that picture book but happy about this one? Why were they indifferent about that bento but happy about this one? The former and the latter in each situation seem exactly the same to me. There was even times when I thought the former one was better. I don't understand that child's feelings. During parent-teacher meetings, the teacher always says the same thing, and I would always respond that I don't understand my own child, and we would mope together. Don't these parent-teacher meetings happen with the child, like, sitting next to the parent? I don't know if it's such a good idea to go like, yeah, I don't get her. I don't know, man. Like, let's be depressed about my kid together while she sits here. Maybe that's what makes her weird, because you're a shitty parent. My husband, always the optimist, once said that a young child's feelings are different from an adult's, so if there were some things we didn't understand, we shouldn't worry about it. I lament his lack of urgency. This woman is kind of a problem. Yeah, that diary is kind of a red flag for me. I gotta say, poor kid. One day, when I was in a good mood, I took the effort to prepare a menu that my child would enjoy. She only smiled with a vague expression of disinterest. That attitude frankly made me angry, so I hit her on the head. Yeah, I take that back. That's not a red flag. That's the police flag. On a day when the weather was nice, the laundry I had just hung up to dry was blown by a large gust of wind and causing the entire line to fall down. But she, watching me try to pick up the laundry in a panic, stood there laughing. That attitude frankly made me angry, so I hit her on the head. Okay. I kind of don't want to read this. I think the same sort of thing happened countless times. Oh, sure, great. Before I knew it, my child was only able to look at me with an indifferent expression on her face. I regret the fact that I've been a bad mother. Thinking I should regain her trust, how? I thought to get it back little by little with some light interactions. Seeing her do some sort of craft work on the veranda, I called out to her, and then I hit her on the head. Oh, it's Rika. These past few days have been nice and sunny. The air feels nice, doesn't it? That child, with that indifferent look on her face I hated so much, looked up at me for a moment, then without a word returned to immersing herself in her craft work. Up until now, I would have hit her on the head just for that. I held myself back. What are you making? Is it a doll? A weather charm. That child was using inserts from the newspaper to deftly make some weather charms. The forecast hadn't called for rain, but that child, in her own way, was praying that these sunny days would continue. Being able to understand my own child for the first time in a while, I couldn't hide my own happiness, and hit her on the head. Bringing out a ball of yarn, I began to hang my child's cute weather charms from the eaves of the house. Ah, it's no good, Rika. The heads are too heavy, see? They've become reverse weather charms now. If they're like this, they'll call the rain instead of the sun. When I started to take them down, my child tugged at the hem of my shirt as if to stop me. That's because I made them to be upside down. They're fine. But, Rika, if they're upside down, they won't be a charm that calls for a sunny day, you know. I was making a charm for it to rain, so they're fine. I desperately suppressed the emotions welling up inside me. I was trying desperately to understand my child. Oh, I see. The morning glories in the garden were starting to get a little wilted from all the sun, so you wanted some rain, right? That child turned to me with the expression that I hated the most. I got bored of the clear weather. I don't understand. I don't understand. I just can't understand that child. Okay. Hello, Jay. I hope you're well. And your mom didn't hit you on the head. Well, she was obviously hit on the head a lot. Yeah, that explains a bit, actually. Look, I get that if you have some problems with your kid, you might not like always be happy with it and stuff. But if you start hitting your kid because it does something you disagree with, something minor, like laughing when you fumble with the laundry, and then it becomes a regular thing that every time she kind of upsets you, you hit her. It's probably your fault that you don't understand the kid. Are these the tips? Yes, they are. Yes, they are. I thought because we're going up to the last chapter anyways, we might as well read some of the tips while we wait for potentially you and Dinkler maybe and Apollo to join, so you don't miss the last bit of the story. Also to you as well, sorry for last Wednesday. I hope it's fixed now. I did my best. Okay, let's read the second diary, even though I kind of don't want to because this is not gonna end well, is it? Dinkler is playing Honkai? Yeah, I know. Dinkler has not been a good viewer lately. During the family council, she buried herself under Oreo-san's futon again. Oreo-san dotes on her unwaveringly. No matter whatever insolence my child commits, she doesn't mind. Yeah, because she's a kid. Why would she mind if a kid is a little bit not like you want it like that? It's almost as though my child is a kitten or something. Do you also hate your kittens? Oreo dotes on her exactly like you would with a kitten. As her mother, I chided her for doing that. Until Oreo-san had said 3 times that it was fine, I chided her as a formality. Of course, she never lends an ear to any of my chidings. Knowing that Oreo-san's standing was far above mine, she behaves like that. There's probably a good reason for that. I don't like the cunning that's unbefitting of her age either. In any case, not only Oreo-san, but the rest of the old folk in the village spoil her too much. I thought that was it. One day I was surprised. By chance, on the way back home from shopping, I saw her by herself just outside a candy shop. My own child suddenly grabbed a snack, opened the package right there and then started eating it. She didn't make any attempt to pay for it, and she didn't even think of looking around. It didn't even feel like she was shoplifting, more like she was brazenly eating snacks that was offered to her. When I began to admonish my child, the elderly shop owner appeared and covered for her. The owner gave this ridiculous excuse that he had said it was okay for that child to eat any of the snacks out by the entrance, so it was fine. When I tried to pay for the snacks that my child had eaten, the owner refused my money. During that exchange, more old folks suddenly started gathering around, and it began to feel like I was the one in the wrong. Maybe you are. The elderly people all put their hands together reverently in front of my child and repeatedly voiced their respect. I mean, okay, that's kind of weird. I was born into the Furde family, so it wasn't like I didn't know why she was being treated specially. Also, you're jealous. When I was still young, it was something I often heard from my grandmother. If by chance the child that I gave birth to was a girl, that child would be the living incarnation of Oyashiro-sama. All the older folk believe she's the living incarnation of Oyashiro-sama and spoil her rotten. And not only did they spoil her, but they even told her she was the living incarnation of Oyashiro-sama, that she had divine power and threw all sorts of strange folktales her way. I'm sorry about that burp. So she may have begun to believe herself that she was a special existence. I went around and told everybody that it wasn't good for her upbringing, so to stop telling her all these strange things, but there was no uprooting the elderly people's deep-seated superstitions. That's actually true. Like, it's very hard to get through to old people that have, like, their set way of living that they had for 50 years, and you want them to change something about it because even if it's objectively wrong, they just don't care. I told my child not to listen to them, but it ended up being that she stopped listening to me. Maybe the reason she stopped listening to you was because you hit her repeatedly for barely any reason. Between all the old folks in the village who would dote on her and myself who only scolded her, there was no wonder who she would listen to. There was no mistaking that the reason she had become strange was because of the elderly villagers. There was no doubt that they had shoved her full of strange tales, and superstitions since she was young. If it wasn't for that, there was no doubt my child would have been cute and normal. Look, I didn't expect to read these tips and find the worst mom possible, but I guess we are. This is kind of depressing, actually, because now I feel really bad for Rika. It's no wonder she doesn't really mind that her parents are gone. One sunny parent-teacher day, there was a cooking class, and my child was making curry rice with a practiced hand. Also, why does she keep saying my child? Why can't she just say her name? She is so distant from her, even in the first one where she was trying to get along with her. While the other children her age were awkwardly using their kitchen knives, that child was wielding hers deftly, yeah, because she's a murderer. The teacher approached me with a smile on their face, saying it must be the result of learning it at home. I managed to play it off with a vague smile and a nod in response. That was because I had never once taught my child how to make curry rice. Even then, she was peeling vegetables with a practiced hand, adding them into the pot in the order of which took longer to cook. For a normal parent, they might unintentionally clap their hands together, happy at their child's actions, but I'm not normal, I'm elite. But in my case, it was different. There was no mistaking that somebody had taught her to make that curry rice when I wasn't taking care of her. Thinking that, I quietly fell into an unpleasant mood. When I asked, it seemed she could also sew and do the laundry. Yeah, probably because she found a second mom that is just better than you. I had never taught her how to do those, and again, never saw her do it around the house. Be it cooking or sewing or the laundry. Again, that was probably because the elderly villagers taught her all sorts of rubbish when I wasn't looking. And not only that, they probably taught her all sorts of strange superstitions, trying to prop her up as the living incarnation of Oyashiro-sama. I said as much to my husband, suggesting that we should keep our child away from the elderly folk. But my husband, who was in the position of being the head priest of the Faraday Shrine, had little power against the elderly who supported it. He took the rather uncommitted stance of saying that as long as she was being doted upon, wasn't it fine? I argued against that. That she was our child and should be a completely normal girl. That what the elderly were expecting, that she was the living incarnation of Oyashiro-sama, was simply odd. The elderly villagers believe that the child has divine powers. We would discuss the weather for the following day, but there were many times when I left the house without an umbrella and came back soaking wet. What does that got to do with anything? Maybe watch the news. Rather than having clairvoyance, that was just secondhand knowledge from her watching the news all the time. They've got a pretty nice living room, actually, for the 80s. The things that she knew that she shouldn't have known were just a result of the people who were trying to indoctrinate her and the people who were gossiping, getting together in the village. However, there certainly were days when everybody thought it was going to be sunny all day, and that child would stubbornly not go out without an umbrella. It would occasionally rain, and in the end we would be saved. There might also have been times where Rika, she uses her name, knew of major accidents in foreign countries faster than the news did. I thought that she must have heard it break over the radio or something, knowing things she shouldn't have. Something like, that was in front of me right now, wasn't it? That child was making curry rice when there shouldn't have been anybody who taught her how to. She is... Zoft, I'm sorry, but you're getting timed out for that. Like, that... Oh, thank you, Streamlabs. That wasn't even me. Maybe don't say shit like that. Like that was not good. Yeah, okay. No, that couldn't possibly be the case. Somebody had taught her, indoctrinated her. When I wasn't taking care of her, somebody had indoctrinated Rika with something. Faraday-san's curry is absolutely splendid. I'll give it a gold star. Nippa. Where did you learn to cook, Faraday-san? At home? Yes, at home. The other parents in attendance were impressed. Lies. All lies. I didn't teach her anything. Who was it? Who was it? Who was the person who had completely indoctrinated my child? She was my normal average daughter, not the living incarnation of Yashiro-sama. Okay. She, So I'm wondering something. Is it I'm making myself cheese right now. Cheese with what? Is everybody that dies to the curse crazy? Like, do they all go crazy before they die? Because that woman seemed pretty crazy to me. I don't know. Oh, okay. You know what? Now that I think about it, I don't think I've had just cheese on bread in like a decade. I always have something else on it there, like ham or mostly ham actually, yeah. All right, enough tips. I don't want to read the tips anymore. They are more depressing than the main game. We're just going to continue. If Tinkler is not showing up, then it's not our fault if he misses the last bit of the story. A new Night Rain trailer got announced. I love when... Wait. It was an accident that happened in such a small village that anyone could forget. One day after the tragedy had come to a close, just as the scars had begun to heal, a young man thinks nostalgically of the little girl he once met. I don't know where they are, Zuff. I don't know. Maybe message them on Discord and ask if you want them here. Should we watch that new Night Rain trailer before we start the story? I'm kind of interested. Or maybe we should do it afterwards, like at the end. Oh, hey. It starts in 3 hours. Okay, maybe... Fate isn't only about happiness, but there is no one that would wish for unhappiness. What? Midsummer 1985. Also, we're jumping in time again. Wait, so... Did Akasaka actually survive? That is unexpected for this game. Yeah, if we're still at this game in 3 hours, we can watch the Night Rain trailer. Probably gonna be the last one, right? The game launches in like 4 weeks. Also, did you see that Xbox is raising prices on consoles and games? We are living the video game apocalypse. It's not looking good. It really ain't looking good, guys. You know what you should do? Be prepared to not play AAA games in a long while, for a long time, in a few years probably. I expect that the indie and AA market will pretty much take over because either AAA games will become infested with even more monetization schemes, or they will just not happen anymore because it's just too expensive to produce. Don't play a lot of AAA games. I mean, I play what I'm interested in. I don't really care about the production cost or anything. It's just that the mainstream tends to, like, those people, the mainstream, those people that aren't even on gaming YouTube, those people that walk into a store, see that the new Assassin's Creed is out, and then just buy it. They didn't know it was out, they just went there for something else and saw the game and bought it at full price, not even thinking about if they could get a sale. That's the people that make money for these companies, not us. Also play Clair Obscur. You play that game. It's every, I put like 20 hours into the game since it launched last week. It is just one of the best video games I've ever played. It's incredible. I can barely think of anything I would do, like I would change to make it better. I don't like turn-based combat, but you like Souls-likes, and this might sound very weird, but it's basically the most Souls DNA I've ever seen in a turn-based game. Because while yes, it is turn-based, if you don't parry or dodge, you will immediately die. You will not beat the game. It's hard. It's challenging. Every enemy has different attack patterns that you have to learn. The bosses are fucking crazy at times. The music is good. The story is incredible. The characters are likable. The art style and the art direction is phenomenal. And it even has that Super Souls-ish thing where you have like checkpoints, like bonfires, where if you hit one, or if you click on one, you recharge your healing items and revivals and stuff, but you also respawn all the enemies in the area. So honestly, I think there's a good chance you would like it. I'd at least give it a try, even if you don't have Game Pass, and have to buy the game at full price. Do it on Steam, and you have 2 hours to try the game. I think it's totally worth the money. Or just get Game Pass. That's cheap, and in the worst case, you can play Oblivion. Okay, enough. I am not sponsored by Sandfall Interactive. I would like to. Reach out if you see this. Where is it? What is a Miyuki? Oh, right, it's 1985, so we're 7 years later now, which means that this is Akasaka's kid. Papa, are you there, Papa? Huh? Oh. Are you alright? I'm trying to give her a German kid voice. I wish I could play Obscure, but now I have only old laptop. I mean, I guess you could play it through the cloud if you have decent internet. That could work. The cloud streaming stuff nowadays is pretty good. Obviously, you need Game Pass for that, but that's just an idea. Were you having a scary dream? Miyuki was sitting next to me. I quickly patted her head after hearing her say that. I must have had a bad dream while sleeping in the cabin. I was sweating profusely. No, it's nothing. I guess it's a little hot in here. Ahaha. I tried to wipe away the sweat while answering and looked around for a handkerchief or towel. And then a cold drop ran down my forehead. Miyuki turned to me and smiled, then wiped my face with the towel she received at takeoff. Thanks, Miyuki. Of course. Thanks to her, I was finally able to shake off my slumber. So I got up from the Eisel. Okay, this is actually from the Eisel seat and looked out the window. I wrapped my arms around Miyuki in the window seat and listened to the noise as the land and sea blew past us before our eyes. Wait, did the mother actually die? Wow, it's Hokkaido! Hokkaido is so big! And then the plane gently turned before entering the airport runway. Arriving at the lobby, I glanced around looking for Oishi. I think this is, like, actually the first time in the whole series that we're in the last chapter. And we got the happy music playing. Is this really Higurashi? And was met with a familiar gruff voice calling out to me. Akasaka-san! How many years has it been? It's been a while, hasn't it? Oishi-san, it really has been a long time. Oishi clapped his hand down my shoulder, celebrating our reunion. Akasaka-san, you're looking pretty good. You look like a bona fide frontline investigator now. You are looking quite dapper yourself. Your posture seems a lot better. Is the ballroom dancing paying off? You should give it a try while you're still young. You'd be a hit with the ladies. A real babe magnet. Oishi had retired and moved to Sapporo, of all things, and started taking ballroom dancing wait. But this is 1985, where the original first 3 games play, right? That's the summer where the games take place. Why is he retired? Is this some timeline shenanigans? He had apparently gotten really into it and had decided to spend the rest of his new life devoted to that hobby. The games are in 1983. Oh. Oh wait, so everybody is dead. But Oishi survived. He was aiming to get his instructor's qualifications before he hit 80 and live out his old... How old is this guy even? I mean, it can't take that long to get an instructor's qualification, and... Is he really in his 70s? I thought he was like 55. Oh. Who might this be? Oh, look at that. Wait, isn't she the girl from the opening? Was this whole game a setup? Or like... I'm super confused right now. So, the girl from the opening, we've seen her in like a school uniform, so that means she's older in that specific portion of the story. Is Akasaka's kid, who gets born in 1978. So do the... What? This game started in 1985 before going into flashback. Right. Yeah, I forgot that. True, it makes sense that Akasaka survived, I guess, because we already knew he would. Interesting choice for a narrative, by the way, in a game where it's very much about whether the main character can survive. I mean, I was stupid and didn't pick up on it, but they basically told us in the very beginning that he would. Oishi suddenly turned his attention to Miyuki, who was standing idly next to me. He bent down on his knee to look her in the face. And she backs away and starts crying. However, my daughter was frightened and hid behind my back. Come on, Miyuki. Please introduce yourself properly. She was staring at Oishi with a dubious expression while tugging at the hem of my shirt. She's usually not this shy. I wonder what's wrong. Sorry about that. She's usually not like this.
Oh no, it's no problem. This old man just has a scary face. If you don't mind, could you tell me your name? I'm Miyuki Akasaka. I'm 7 years old. Nice to meet you. Great, that was a good introduction. I'd expect no less from Akasaka-san's daughter. Oishi gently stroked Miyuki's head and smiled as though she were his own grandchild. After seeing that, Miyuki smiled in relief. I mean, he doesn't have family, right? I think he's not married. Shortly afterwards, Miyuki told me that she was just doing what I told her to do. Be careful around strangers. Oishi overheard that and let out a hearty wahaha, shaking his body while laughing and walking. Oh my god, they're speeding. Look at this background. I can't let I let myself in Oishi's car and we headed out towards the hot spring inn. I had originally intended to crash at Oishi's place, but Oishi was quite obstinate that his home wasn't suitable for that, so it came to this. At the inn, we relaxed while soaking in the hot springs, then ate a delicious feast until we were full. Miyuki had a little of the Mongolian barbecue and was delighted with it. After our bellies were swollen, Miyuki grew sleepy and went off to bed. Then Oishi and I reminisced about the time we played Mahjong together in Hinamizawa. Oh yeah, good times. We all cheated. Do you remember that? It seems that to celebrate our reunion, Oishi had looked for people who could play, but unable to find a suitable candidate, we had to give up on putting together a table. As we drank together, we excitedly recounted our exploits during the final manhunt. Did they end up catching those two guys? Damn! Look at him in his drip. Holy shit. That is a nice one. I like this. He looks like a fucking Yakuza. He's actually the head of the Sonozaki family. Nope. In the end, the search team never found them. They were probably hidden by the villagers, then sent overseas or somewhere else far away to lay down for a bit. Are they, like, illegal cars? They trafficked the kidnappers. Please keep that for the rest of the game. This is actually fucking cool. I like that design, man. And also, he's even wearing a fucking chain necklace, man. This guy, he's the man. Oishi-san, if I remember correctly, you managed to grab one of their guns, didn't you? Did you learn anything from that? It was a foreign military pistol. It's probably from the ones the gangs. It's probably from the ones the gangs in Kansai managed to smuggle in a ton of. We tried to get a match from the rifling, but it didn't show up in any other cases. How about on your end? After that, I was removed from the front line, so I don't know much. In the end, it seems like everything was settled under the veil of secrecy. Oishi smiled wryly as he sipped his chilled drink. I mean, it makes sense, right? They didn't want to let people know that the kid got abducted and shit. That was always secret. What happened after that sure was tough, huh? It has been 7 years now. Yeah. We held a memorial service a few days ago. I've become estranged with my father-in-law lately, so it was rough getting everything ready. Oh, his wife died. That must have been a lot of work. It was then that the hostess brought in the extra drinks we had ordered before. Where's the kid? While the bottles of beer clanked as she brought them in, we halted our conversation. What Oishi meant when he said it must have been tough. Thinking about that was still hard, but time had healed the wound. It was the day after, when I phoned Oishi to apologize. When I did, Oishi almost immediately handed the phone to one of my colleagues who happened to be there. Not only was I injured in the brawl with the suspects, but I disappeared to drink late into the night without leaving any sort of contact information, so I thought he'd definitely be mad. However, all he said was that it was something he couldn't talk about over the phone, and said I should come to the station as soon as possible. At the time, I could only think he must have been really pissed off. When I arrived at the station, he said this. It seems your wife was involved in an accident. Wait, an accident? Oh man, I thought she like died during childbirth, but not afterwards. That's even worse. Having no idea what happened, I borrowed the phone to contact the hospital Yuki was staying at. After being given the runaround several times, I was finally able to talk to someone in charge, and after mincing words for quite some time, they told me Yuki Arisaka died in an accident. The world became a blur as I sat there dumbfounded. Yuki's death was unbelievably abrupt, unbelievably sudden. I could have understood if there was some kind of problem during the birth, but Yuki's death wasn't anything like that. On the stairs up on the way up to the roof, she just happened to slip and fall. Why, man? Look, I completely expected something to happen to her, but I didn't expect her to like just... This is shit. It's not even something that you can like give fault to or use as a way to come to terms with it. Like, this is the worst thing to die to because like nobody could have done anything, but also it just shouldn't have happened. And she just happened to fall on an unfortunate place at an unfortunate angle. Yeah, that's unfortunate, alright. That was it. Wanting to blame Yuki's death on somebody, I began to think that it was an act of revenge by the Guardians, that they killed my wife and made it look like an accident. What I learned when I flew back to Tokyo, however, was much more cruel than that. Yuki had a habit of going up to the roof to cool off in the evening. Oh no. Oh no, man. Did she go up there to like get better reception so she could take the call that they regularly had? And she always went up there for the last few nights because and she was sad and was worried for him because he didn't call her in a few nights because he had so much to do for work. Reception? Yeah, like for her phone. Although I guess mobile phones weren't really a thing back then. Okay, that was probably not it. I'm thinking too modern. There was an elevator up to the 7th floor, but from there you had to take the stairs to get to the roof. Even late in her pregnancy, when the evening came, she would always head up there. Her father had always said for her to not push herself, but Yukie insisted that until the time she had no choice but to stay in bed, she should be allowed to do as she wished. However, I had never once seen Yukie go up the roof. I only heard that from her father and the nurses. That was because whenever I visited her, she would spend that time with me instead. I heard the reason why Yuki went up to the roof from a nurse she had become friendly with. She had said that her husband was away on business a lot of the time, and that whenever he called, she was able to cheer him up and give him courage. But when he didn't call, she couldn't do that. Her husband might put on a show of bravado, but in reality he grew lonesome pathetically fast. She was probably just the same. Whenever he left for business, not clear when he'd be back, she felt very lonely. Whenever she cheered him up, she was actually cheering herself up as well. That's why whenever we went far away for an important job, on the evenings he didn't call, at the very least, she felt that standing underneath the same sky, her feelings would reach him. At that moment... Oh, that's why Rika said he should go back. She didn't mean that something bad would happen to him, but... Oh, man. But wait. Hold up. If that's the case, why did she cut the cords for the telephones? If he had called her on that evening, then she wouldn't have died, right? Because she wouldn't have used the stairs. I don't get it. Is Rika good or not? At that moment, I remembered the words that girl had told me. That it was best that I go back to Tokyo right away. Otherwise, there would be something I'd regret horribly. Yes, that's it. Because I was away on business that day, Yukie had headed up to the roof. Had I known that this would have been the result, had I done as the girl had said and dropped everything to head back to Tokyo, I might have been with Yukie on the day she died. If I was with her, she wouldn't have gone up the roof. The day my wife died was on the evening of the third day of my trip. Yes, it was right before the time I had the sudden urge to hear Yukie's voice and ran around the village trying to find a phone. Oh, so it was already too late, and Rika probably knew, and she didn't want to give him the bad news while he's in a vulnerable state. I think. I'm honestly not sure. The girl had gone around and cut all the phone cords. If she hadn't, and I had made that call, I would have undoubtedly learned of Yukie's death at the time and collapsed in tears. Of course, even though the cords were cut, it had only put me off learning of Yukie's death by that one evening. In the end, I had learned of it the next morning. However, when I managed to put my emotions in order, I realized it was that girl's small token of consideration. That's the first I've heard about that. Yeah, it's the first time I've talked about it. Could it have been a coincidence? She doesn't have any special powers or anything. Aren't you the one who told me, Oishi-san, that she might be the reincarnation of the god called Oyashiro-sama? Well, yeah. The old folks in the village believed that Rika Furude had divine powers. Divine powers? Oishi had originally said it as a kind of joke, but realizing that I was serious, he slumped his shoulders. I don't know if it's the truth or not. They said she did things like prophesize the future or talk about things she should have no way of knowing. That she was clairvoyant, that it was divine revelation. Well, all sorts of things. Of course, they couldn't give specific examples, though. She prophesied Yukie's accident. Or she tried to laugh it off, but out of respect to my deceased wife, he kept it restrained. Does that mean an active and capable investigator from the Metropolitan Police Department believes in divine wonders and curses? Having him say that so bluntly, I couldn't respond. Of course, I had no intention of believing such odd things, but he could only say that because he didn't know what I did. Since I met that other girl who both was and wasn't Rika Furude. I couldn't deny the existence of any otherworldly entity. Of course, I can't deny that it might not have been prescience, but rather a warning. Not prescience, but a warning. If what that girl had said was a warning about Yuki's accident, then things became much easier to understand. Basically, the line of thinking became that it was a threat. Because I didn't go back to Tokyo, my wife was killed in a way that made it look like an accident. Not satisfied with the investigation into your wife's accident? Of course, I suspected foul play. I pored over the results and even carried out my own personal investigation. There weren't any witnesses to Yuki's fall. There was a possibility that somebody had hidden, waiting to push Yuki down the stairs. However, the cleaning ladies frequented the roof to hang laundry, and the security cameras on each floor hadn't recorded anything out of the ordinary. There wasn't anything set up on the stairs, and I was unable to find anything suspicious. In the end, even after my personal investigation, I can't think that anything else happened other than the simple accident. Well, of course, these were the guys that took the minister's grandson hostage. It wouldn't be impossible for them to push a lone pregnant woman down the stairs without leaving any evidence. Oishi's expression had completely sobered up. They murdered your wife? When Yuki died, I thought that as well. More precisely, I wanted to blame somebody, so I created the most viable scapegoat. That's what I meant. Basically, the way she died is just so completely out of anyone's hand that it's very hard to deal with it because you have like no real way of coping with it, right? You just gotta accept it or search for somebody that could be at fault but probably aren't. But without any clear evidence, that violent notion faded along with the wounds in my heart. Did that girl know beforehand about my wife's death and was threatening me? Or did she prophesy that death and was offering me a road to salvation? If I had to choose between the two, I would tend towards the latter. Why don't we just ask her? Nah, Oishi smiled gently, slightly in disbelief as he poured more beer from his bottle. Then, if I may, if what you say is true, then Rika Furude was a prophet who knew the future. If so, why didn't she predict that disaster? If she knew that the gas eruption was going to happen, why did she remain silent? Even a few hours beforehand would have been enough. Wait. Does the gas eruption always happen? I mean, it makes sense, right? That is like the final thing that could potentially kill. Like, let me get my thoughts in order. A gas eruption is obviously a natural phenomenon, so it's not like they can prevent it, or that it would be prevented by taking a different route, you know, visual novel style. But does that mean that in every possible future for Rika, this gas eruption always inevitably happens? Or is this the same timeline as the third game where the gas eruption happened to happen? I wonder if the gas eruption happens because something else happens. Like, we never thought about... Wait a second. The gas eruption happened in the third game. The only thing that was different with the swamp where the gas comes from in the third game was that Keiichi threw the motorcycle into the swamp to get rid of the evidence. Right? Didn't he do that? Where he rode it towards the swamp and then jumped off, and the motorcycle drove into the swamp so that nobody could find it. Is that maybe what causes the gas eruption? Maybe the fuel in the motorcycle or something causes some chemical reaction, and that causes the gas to erupt and kills the whole village. Well, if it's a natural disaster, it probably should happen anyways. Yeah, but what if it's what if it's natural in the sense that, as in, it comes from the swamp, but it's still caused by somebody putting something in the swamp actively, even unknowingly. Because if that's the case, then you could prevent it. It's not like anybody can stop the flood or a tornado. No, but I'm not super well versed in chemistry, but what if there's some way that throwing that bike, that motorcycle, which obviously has mechanical parts and fuel and stuff, into that swamp could have set off like the gas coming out of the swamp. So maybe Rika actually didn't know about this. Because in Route 3, she gets killed before she can warn anybody, right? And she also gets killed before it happens, so she doesn't know that it happens. That would explain why she didn't prophesize it, because she's never lived through to a future where she would die from the gas. Or specifically, she would never actually know, because even if she did live through that night, she would just die, but with like the people all died while being asleep, right? So even if she died and then just woke up the next morning as a baby in the next timeline, she wouldn't know why she died. And a natural disaster wouldn't really be the first thing on your mind, right? You'd think, okay, I was murdered or something. I think I'm thinking too deep into this. If the village knew, then most of the people would have escaped without dying. Holy fuck, that gave me a shock. Okay, that was... Suddenly Fire Emblem music. Holy crap. Great Hinamizawa disaster in memoriam list. It was near the end of June 1983. Volcanic gases from the Onigafuchi swamp erupted and hit the village in the middle of the night, so the same as the third game. It was an unprecedented disaster where the whole populace was wiped out. It caused a wave of panic about volcanic gas across the country, causing people to overreact over any reports of odd smells. I hadn't heard of the blockade on the Hinamizawa area being lifted, so it should still be cordoned off. That's... It was my turn to be lost for a response. Well, if Rika Furaday, the reincarnation of Oyashiro-sama, was killed, then the village might have incurred God's wrath, making him call forth the miasma from the swamp to kill everyone. That explanation is what the survivors are whispering about. Sorry, Oishi-san, did you just say she was killed? Huh? Yeah, well, I don't think it would be a problem if I told you. When I saw the news about the gas disaster, I remembered that girl. I then found her name in the list of victims. That's why at the time I thought her own death that she predicted was due to the gas. It was after that I learned from the tabloids of the series of mysterious deaths in Hinamizawa during the 5 years leading up to the disaster that became known as the Curse of Oyashiro-sama. And that string of mysterious deaths lined up exactly with what that girl had predicted, so I had always thought to ask Oishi about it, as she had been involved in the he has been involved in the investigation. That's right. That was the reason for our reunion. But right now, Oishi had said Rika Furude didn't die in the disaster but was killed? Wait, so we are in the third timeline. Can I ask you about the last year of the curse? I may be retired, but I still have to keep things confidential, you know. Excuse me, madam, do you have anything cold that's brewed locally? High grade, if there is. I leave the selection to you. Okay. They're drinking buddies. Oh my, I didn't mean it that way. Oishi laughed loudly, not wholly unsatisfied, and stopped the hostess to tell her that the cheap booze was fine. I know as much as was written in those magazines, but I don't know anything about the curse that happened the year of the disaster, because the entire area around Hinamizawa was sealed off, you see. There wasn't much of an investigation that could be done on the last year of the curse. Even if after several years the quarantine is lifted, the villagers are mostly dead, and what few survivors there were mostly went to stay with relatives, their whereabouts mostly unknown. It's a complete dead end. Oishi seemed to postulate to himself as he stared at the ceiling, as if trying to work out a memory from the rusty cogs in his head. And then he said in a completely sober voice, "The magazines made it seem like the curse of the 5th year was that disaster, but the actual curse really happened on the day of the Watanagashi festival. A photographer by the name of Jiro Tomitake." Okay, so it's not Akasaka. Okay, my guess apparently was wrong. He was the victim. Oishi gestured about how the victim tore out his own throat with his fingernails as he talked. Where's the kid, by the way? She's probably not sitting in on this talk, right? And the burned corpse of the woman Tomitake was in a relationship with was found in the mountains of Gifu. The Gifu prefectural police weren't very cooperative, so I don't know much about it, though. There were 2 victims in one night? Actually, see, it wasn't just those 2. You see, the next day, Kumagai-san, Akun, one of my subordinates, disappeared along with his car in the middle of his investigation. No, not the cop. Kumagai was a younger detective that was going to be partnered with Oishi after we first met. He was going around the village to question people about the incident with Tomitake. He might have gotten caught up in something. If he was with me, he might have been safe. Even now, it still stings. That day, for some reason, I did a real number on my stomach. I had to pass on going around outside. Dude, can this stop? Why is this so loud? The first note of this song is so fucking loud. And it comes out of nowhere in the middle of the dialogue. He got too close to the truth and was made to disappear? That's what I think. Kuma-chan was young and had a promising future ahead of him, but he still didn't have enough experience on the scene. He wasn't used to dealing with any complications. Oishi lamented the fact that he wasn't with his subordinates that day. And then the next day, see? You know him well, Akasaka-san. You know Dr. Irie? You remember him? That young doctor from the hospital? I vaguely remember. For whatever reason, he committed suicide with sleeping pills. No suicide note or anything. The autopsy confirmed that it was the sleeping pills. Nothing was in doubt except for the motive. It isn't that hard to make it look like somebody died from taking sleeping pills, is it? Any possibility it was a murder? He was single, no prior marriages. It didn't seem like he was going out with anybody in particular. Yeah, because if he was openly going out with somebody, he would probably have been put into jail. He was the coach of the local junior baseball team and was on good terms with the villagers. He was liked by everybody. I couldn't find anybody who would want to do him harm. Well, any chances to investigate were ruined by the disaster, though. There's no way to find out anything about him now. Then what about Rika Furuda's death? It was that day. Around noon, some of the old folks who were visiting the shrine discovered the corpse of Rika Furude. Murder? Before we continue, you should probably stop eating that squid salmon. Is that bad? Oishi nodded firmly. The corpse was found on the Don't give Dr. Irie a Subway sandwich. I don't get that joke. I'm sorry. We don't really have many Subways here. I don't know what they do. Is this something I should get? Trust me, you don't want to know. Okay. I'll trust. The corpse was found on the shrine grounds next to the donation box. Although she was probably killed somewhere else. That's because while she was completely naked, there wasn't any dirt on the soles of her feet. Any sign it was some sort of sexual assault? According to the autopsy, there wasn't any indication of that. What we know is that she was rendered unconscious by some sort of drug, carried to that place, then had her abdomen sliced wide open. Her organs were deliberately removed and scattered about. Oh god. I do hope Dinkler comes in at exactly this moment and gets shocked for life. I'm already disgusted, but not by Subway now. I mean, I guess we knew that this is obviously a third game, right? Like the third game's timeline. I think it's the same one. Just from an outside view this time. And we knew that Rika was killed that way. But we didn't know that she was put to sleep. This is the best way to summon Dinkler. Insult his soul's builds. He plays souls like a pussy. He summons. 3, 2, 1. No, seriously, let's continue reading. Unconscious? Then she wasn't cut open after her death? Oh, no. Oh, that is fucking evil. While she was... Oh, wow, okay. That's... horrible. That girl's prediction was right on the mark. I'm pretty sure she was more detailed about the other deaths that lead up to her own. For example, I think she said that the housewife that was beaten to death on the 4th year had her head split open. Then in that case, did she know that her own death would be so terrible? There must have been some moments where she wanted to doubt the validity of her own predictions. But as people died exactly as prophesied, as the years passed, that prophecy would only come closer to fruition. And then, facing the final year, unable to struggle against her own destiny, her all too young life was snuffed out. And in such a cruel way. Knowing that her days were numbered and unable to fight the tide of events heralding her end, my heart ached at her helplessness. About the way she died, it seems like it wasn't just somebody's sick tastes. What I'm saying is, I've told you before about how Hinamizawa used to be home to demons, didn't I? Yeah, I think I remember. The festival in Hinamizawa village, Watanagashi, the cotton drifting, seems to stem from the drifting of entrails. It seems that it came from the man-eating demons ripping apart their victims and throwing their organs into the river. In other words, in Hinamizawa, pulling out entrails had some sort of religious meaning? Well, this is according to the old tales in Hinamizawa, you see. To act as an arbitrator so that the humans and the man-eating demons could live together peacefully, a god known as Oyashiro-sama descended from the heavens. If I recall, Rika Furude was said to be the living incarnation of that Oyashiro-sama, wasn't she? Yeah, so cutting open Rika Furude, who was a living god, would be to the village nothing less than absolute sacrilege. Kiriko, what's wrong? What do you do? Why'd the room shake? What was that? Weird. Absolute sacrilege. In other words, you mean sacrilege towards Oyashiro-sama? The rest you should know, Akasaka-san. The wrath of Oyashiro-sama would occur the same night. Wait. So, it was... There's two possibilities. It was either some sicko who did this because he heard about the entrail drifting stuff and wanted to kill someone that way, or it was a religious murder where they did this on purpose to incur the wrath of Oyashiro-sama for some reason, which, I mean, would make much more sense than just having a random dude kill her this way. So I'm going with the second option. And that means that there is someone in the village that, for some reason, wants the whole village dead. It's a great Hinamizawa disaster. The official explanation was that some swamp upstream erupted with toxic volcanic gas which enveloped the village. The swamp where it erupted was called Onigafuchi Swamp. It was the origin of Hinamizawa's old name, Onigafuchi Village. According to village lore, the depths of the swamp apparently lead to hell, where the man-eating demons came from. That almost seems too perfect. And no, it's not an earthquake. I think I have not once in my life witnessed an earthquake here. I have no idea how that feels like. It was a Kiri quake. Oh, no. That's just the tip of the iceberg. There was another bit of folklore in the village. If Oyashiro-sama became angry, the cauldron of hell would open up and miasma would flow out. Or so they say. Wait, have we heard this before? This seems new to me. It was the villagers. Hell was at the bottom of the swamp. So basically the miasma poured out, smothering the village? Yeah, basically, due to the sacrilegious way that Rika Furude, the living incarnation of Oyashiro-sama, was killed, the village incurred the wrath of Oyashiro-sama in the form of that disaster. It actually worked. Few minutes delay, but it worked. Hello, Kiriko. You want to say hi to the mid-build? Yes. You're a stealth build, right? You're a dex build. That's the good build. Yeah, we tried to summon you because I thought it would be funny if you entered the stream exactly at the time when Rika's killing was described way too in-depth.
Couldn't stand Star Rail's story for more than 30 minutes, so here I am. Man, am I now less important than Star Rail's story? That kind of hurts. Especially with how I know how little you care for Star Rail nowadays. Man. I don't know what to say to that. I'm gonna read the game. That seems to be their explanation. So what you're saying is that the disaster wasn't a natural one? Well, everything does seem to fit together a little too well. If Oyashiro-sama's curse doesn't really exist, and everything really was just a matter of coincidence, I would doubt it. A wry smile formed on Oishi's face as he listened to my absurd take on things. He wore an expression as though even if it were absurd, there was a time he had thought the same thing. In regards to the religious beliefs of the villagers, suppose there was a more fanatical group among them. See what she's doing there. She's chewing on the cables of my soundbar. She knows she's not supposed to do that, so now that the camera's on her, she's acting as if she's not an evil little asshole. Yeah. Do we? No, don't do that. Stop it. Kiriko. Stop it. And don't hit the camera. Would you stop that? See, you guys never believed me when I said she's chewing cables, but now I have proof. Can you please stop? Hey. Yeah, the camera attacked you, what now? And you attacked the camera back. Okay. I'm gonna throw you out. I'm serious. You're getting kicked out if you don't stop. No bon appetit. Stop the bon appetit. We don't say bon appetit to something like that. Yeah. Be a good little kitty. In comparison, my cat is the most well-behaved cat of all time. I mean, Luna isn't like that, and Tira also wasn't like that. It's just that Kiriko comes from the street, right? Yeah. We rescued you from the street, and you've been alive on the street for a few weeks, so you know how the street works. And on the streets, you survive by being an asshole. She looks at me like she's so fucking mad right now. No, but seriously, like, because she was found when she was like 7 or 8 weeks old, she basically had the first few weeks of her life were probably spent either with her mom, who was a stray, we don't know, or she was actually alone on the street. And in both ways, she would probably not have learned your typical home cat mannerisms. So she's a bit more on the wild and asshole side. I still love her, but that's just what she is. Right? Yeah, you sleep. Sleep. It's fine. You can sleep. Okay. Back to the game. Wait. In regards to the religious beliefs of the villagers, I suppose there was a more fanatical group among them, and that group created a situation that would incur Oyashiro-sama's wrath and enacted the disaster to make it seem like the truth. Of course, I won't laugh. I've wandered down that line of reasoning more than once myself. However, even though Hinamizawa is a small village, it still has a population of over 1,000 people. To murder that many people in a single night
Doesn't seem realistic no matter how you think about it. The gas eruption was believed to have happened around 2 a.m., several hours before dawn. In that short amount of time, going around and killing all the villagers in a way that made it look like poison gas didn't seem feasible at all. I mean, of course. The swamp the gas erupted from still had some religious significance, didn't it? If that's the case, then maybe there was something set up in the swamp, something that could be activated whenever a divine verdict was rendered. According to the JSDF's press release, the swamp was declared the source of the eruption. This was after everything was thoroughly looked over by their investigative team. If anything like that was set up, I think they would have found it. It wouldn't necessarily have to be in the swamp itself. Come on, haven't you ever heard about it? It's the old story about how when a faraway spring dried up, the village spring dried up as well. What do you mean by that? Many waterways are connected by underground aquifers. Aquifers. What is an aquifer? Swamps and springs are only the parts that manage to pop above the surface. Oh, wait, so you mean that somebody put something into the water that is connected to the swamp that caused it to erupt? Is that the theory? This makes me think about the beginning of the third game, where didn't they find the mauled corpse of a woman in the waterways? And we never went back to that. Like, we have absolutely no idea why that happened or how or anything. It never was mentioned again. Maybe that was supposed to be a hint. It was also, if I remember correctly, it was also in another city. So maybe that's the hint that the waterway, that this was a corpse that was thrown into the swamp. Maybe it was the corpse of the of Rika's mom. Wasn't Rika's dad killed, and Rika's mom was like disappeared and was rumored to have been to have jumped into the swamp? What if she did not jump, but like her corpse was thrown into the swamp to dispose of it, and then it drifted down through the waterways into another city and was found there? And that was the hint telling us that this swamp is connected to other cities through the waters under the earth. So it's possible that someone could have put something into the swamp without actually being in Hinamizawa. Did that happen in this timeline? We are currently in 1985, so 2 years after the usual Higurashi timeline. And from the way this has been going, we are suspecting that we are in the timeline of the third game, where the gas eruption happened and killed everybody, because it also talked about Rika being disentrailed in fair detail. The only thing we haven't heard of is Keiichi being a survivor. If we hear about Keiichi being a survivor, I'm gonna be 100% sure this is the timeline of the third game. So what you're saying is that Onigafuchi swamp is connected to another swamp or spring, and there's something the villagers rigged up there long ago, something that changes the pressure of Onigafuchi swamp, causing it to erupt with poison gas. Is that what you're getting at? Oishi laughed heartily, commending the fact that the young ones have a nice flexible way of thinking. That was the former detective in him. Even though it was a hypothesis that he didn't come up with, he still had the presence of mind to not dismiss it right away. That's an interesting theory. If that proves to be true, then it would be unprecedentedly the largest mass murder in the history of Japan. Once the quarantine of Hinamizawa village is lifted, I think it should definitely be investigated. Wait, so other than Rika dying, what has happened with this stream? We read some of the tips. We read Rika's mom's diary, and she was the worst mother in existence. She beat Rika up and shit. Then we started the chapter, and the chapter literally starts with the scene that was in the beginning of the game at the airport in 1985, where Akasaka meets Oishi after not having met him since that summer he spent in Hinamizawa. And we also learned that Akasaka's wife died like on the night where the whole mission with the grandson happened, because she fell off the stairs in the hospital and, well, died from that. And they are unsure whether it was an accident or not. And now this. Oishi-san, do you still have any connections with the XX Prefectural Police? Somewhat. I'm an honorary advisor for their judo classes, so even now I pop by during summer training camps and such. I don't know when the quarantine on Hinamizawa village will be lifted, but please let me help investigate. Got it. Oishi-san, how do you feel about the string of mysterious deaths in Hinamizawa that they call the curse of Oyashiro-sama? Did Shion show up yet? Shion isn't in this game, she's dead. At the time, the villagers were putting a lot of pressure on the station, also Haijo. The official stance on things was that the cases were unrelated, that each case was separate, each with its own resolution. That couldn't be. Even though it was blatantly obvious that the cases were connected based on the village's religious beliefs. Akasaka-san, we can only say that now because of the rather grandiose way things ended after 5 years. At the time, those coincidental incidents just happened to coincidentally occur on the day of Watanagashi. Just a, it would be nice if nothing happened this year kind of feel to it. Coincidence? The girl predicted everything from the beginning. Girl. Rika Furude. That child warned me about all the incidents that would happen afterwards. Damn, Joe. You roll the 100 and then you roll nothing. That's just how life goes, man. GTA 6 got delayed till 26. Wait, is that true? Wait, so... You know, in the beginning of the stream today, I talked about Xbox raising prices on everything. We also now have GTA being delayed, which, no, I personally didn't think it would come out this year, but many people did, and it was announced as that. So that's a shock to probably many people that expected this to be the game of the year. We also have, well, Silk Song probably won't come out this year either. Like this, the whole gaming how do I say it? Like, the whole gaming space is just kind of crashing in upon itself right now. At least other games can stand a chance to win Game of the Year, that's true. Oh, Lost Soul Aside also got delayed. I think that was 2 days ago or something. Pirate Yakuza Goji? No. Claire Obscure is goatee so far. Definitely. Pirate Yakuza has no shot. Alright. Akasaka-san, is that true? Yes. The girl said as much. That the next year the dam foreman would be killed and his corpse dismembered. Not only that, she warned me of all the events that would transpire in the following years. Well, now I would ask, as a former cop, why in the hell, if you knew it was supposed to happen and it has proven itself to actually happen, as a cop, not reported that and done something against the murderers? You know, just an idea. Akasaka-san, when she told you all of that, what year was it? When I met the girl, I was investigating the kidnapping incident, so June of 1978. The year before the dismemberment murder. Wrinkles formed between Oishi's eyebrows and as he closed his eyes and began to digest what I had just told him. Kiriko, what are you doing now? Is there something down there? Why are you attacking the floor? You alright? Yeah, no. Monster Hunter is not nearly as good as Clair Obscur or probably even Pirate Yakuza. I don't know if you noticed that, but Monster Hunter has gotten a for the series, very bad reception, like review-wise and stuff. Yes, it's still sold really well, but I don't think it has the power to get the votes for a Game of the Year. Monster Hunter is a great game, though. Yeah, it's fine, but it's not nearly as good as the ones before, apparently. So, I don't think the fanbase is going to vote for that. We'll see, obviously. It's also still, like, not even the second half of the year. We still got a lot of games to come out. Maybe Donkey Kong is insane. Maybe Mario Kart is... we can wish, right? Metroid Prime 4 is also still coming out this year, and that's definitely going to be a Game of the Year contender. So, there's a lot that could happen still. Akasaka-san. If you're wrong about Rika Furde knowing the future through some divine medium, this is getting ridiculous. Yep. If you're just trying to shock me, I'm going to be really angry, you know. I'm speaking the truth. Then the script behind the Chain of Mysterious Deaths was written a year before it even... Oh. Okay, that's not Oishi. And just as predicted, Rika Furde was killed. At first, I thought she meant that she would be killed in the disaster. However, now I know that her death wasn't due to that, but rather an atrocious one at the hands of a murderer. She said she would be killed. At that point in time, she knew more or less how her own death would occur. Then why didn't Rika Furde try and run away? Even if her death was already spelled out for her, knowing that, she still had a grace period of several years, didn't she? She had plenty of time to try and run away or consult the police. Why did she just accept her death with no resistance? I don't know. Even though Rika Furde was doted... Jericho, no, do not chew that cable. That was expensive. Don't do that. No. Come here. I'll be right back. Okay. The Devourer. Yeah, you didn't see that. I showed it live on camera where she was chewing the cables of my soundbar. Skip like 20 minutes back or something. Split Fiction might have a chance too. That's true.
although I feel like Split Fiction was just a very, very good game that came out, and not that many people actually talked about it. I barely saw anything about it, but maybe that's just my bubble. I just know that it's supposedly really good. Like, It Takes Two was definitely more of a internet phenomenon. After she lost her parents, she had no living relatives and lived a fairly solitary life other than hanging around with some close friends. It might have been she didn't have any power to fight or anybody to rely on. She must have tried signaling somebody for help in regards to her own death, though. Yeah, you! Huh? You know very well that the village and the police weren't very amicable with one another, Akasaka-san. At the very least, I never heard anything about Rika Furde seeking protection from anybody. Or could it be that she simply resigned herself to being a religious sacrifice? It could have been something like that. There's no way that was the case. I spoke decisively. At that time, she said it. She had definitely said she wanted to live happily, that she wanted to spend her time surrounded by her dear friends. She hadn't given up on life. She had hoped to keep on living. At that moment, I became dumbstruck. What's the matter? Akasaka-san. Oh, he realized that she was asking him for help and he completely left her alone. This is actually super sad. Think about that. She went out of her way and potentially put herself in even more danger by telling him that she knows what's going to happen because she thought he would help her. But he didn't do anything. He just left the village and never came back. No, it's nothing. I fell into silence. Oishi folded his arms and began murmuring in contemplation again. Eventually, he stood up and headed towards the hallway to find the hostess, yelling that he wanted a pen and paper. When Oishi, noisy even though he was just thinking, left, the room immediately fell into a chill silence. I stood up. It was then that I realized I was drunk enough to be unsteady on my feet. Oh, is he gonna see something creepy and then the game ends? We had that before. When I slid open the window, a beautiful yet somehow ephemeral moon drifted across the night sky. It was just now that I realized. She hadn't accepted her own death. She wanted to keep living, happily and joyously. She had said that quite clearly to me. But I was a fool. That's a nice piano piece. I hadn't been asked explicitly, so I hadn't realized it. She had made it clear as day that she didn't want to die. Wasn't that her cry for help? She didn't say as much that she wanted my help, but even given that, it wasn't as though she wasn't looking for salvation. Without any family and unable to trust the police, she instead told somebody without any relation to the village, somebody from a faraway place. Me. Oh, we've heard that before. Okay, yeah. Not a new song. Help me. She had gone around and cut the phone cords. If I had made that phone call and learned of Yukie's death, I probably would have fallen into despair. If I was in that state, even if she was looking for help, her cries would have fallen on deaf ears. That's why, knowing everything, she had cut the phone cords. She wanted even a little time to seek help from me. Oishi just before now had lamented that one of the younger officers gotten mixed up in the case, having been erased because he wasn't there. I was feeling the same way. If only I was there in June of 1983, I could have protected her. In 1983, it would have been 5 years since the kidnapping took place. While raising the only daughter Yukie had left me, putting all my youth and passion into my work, honing my wits and courage, wrestling with difficult cases,
Nothing like my failings during the kidnapping incident would have occurred. I wouldn't have been slow to react in a one-on-one fight, and by that point, I jumped into foreign mafia-run gambling parlors where I'd learned to deal with automatic weapons, let alone handguns. I had grown so much that in 1983, I couldn't have been compared to how I was in 1978. He became a shonen protagonist even more so. That's why, if I was by her side, I should have been able to save her life. No matter what conspiracy or foul plots drew near, I definitely would have protected her. She, even though sounding resigned, should have still been able to ask me for help. I just didn't realize it. I couldn't realize it. Just as I wouldn't have realized it if I was told of Yuki's accident. I wasn't able to realize it. I wanted to cry. If I had taken her words to heart, I would have prevented Yuki's accident, and I would have been able to protect the girl to whom I owed a debt from even a predetermined death. She must have been expecting that from me. I learned about the disaster while watching television in my house. Until I learned about that, I had forgotten about Hinamizawa. In order to recover from the shock of Yuki's death, I had tried to remove everything about the place from my memory. What an ungrateful fool I was. Even though in exchange for saving her, the girl had told me of a way to save Yuki. I was unable to accept her gratitude, and now here we are. She hadn't died in her sleep due to a natural disaster. She was split open while still alive, killed while suffering the disgrace of having her organs torn out. She must have known beforehand that on that day, on that year, she would be killed in such a terrifying way. But even knowing what end awaited her, she was all too weak. A lone girl, without anybody to rely upon, unable to seek help, had to swallow her own predetermined death, and left this mortal coil. She said she wanted to live. She said she just wanted to live happily. That's all she wanted. She didn't ask for anything extravagant. For any person that was ever born, it was the very basest of desires. She never said a peep about wanting money or that she wished she was in somebody else's situation. She had said it. Said if all deaths were preordained, then hers was probably also all according to plan. She might have been a lone, frail girl, but I don't think she would have accepted it all without at least putting up a fight. There must have been, in some small way, some form of resistance that she mustered. And with what she could muster, seeking my help was part of that. God damn it! I howled. I stomped the floor. Why did I become a police officer in the first place? How could I call myself an officer if I couldn't save a single girl from the misfortunes that was awaiting her? Was it because there was so much going on at that time? I couldn't process the fact that she was asking for help? Yes, that's right, I was still green. If I was in that situation now, I would have definitely been able to help her. But it was already all over. Even if I wanted to settle the regrets she left behind, Hinamizawa as a dangerous area was still quarantined. Most of the people involved were already dead, with the few that did remain spread around the country, unable to be traced. The stage of that tragedy was still off limits as well. The police investigation was put on hold, the case slowly being buried in the sands of time. That's a Prince of Persia game. Just like how I wouldn't have known unless Oishi had asked me about it. I have no idea how you think this is a wholesome twist. More like this is sad as fuck. I don't know. I don't think this is wholesome. Akasaka-san, are you okay? At some point, Oishi had returned with a notebook in hand. Until I saw the expression on Oishi's face, I didn't realize that I was in tears. I never realized I never realized she wanted help. Akasaka-san, calm down. But it's all too late now. She was killed in such an atrocious manner. She was counting on me, but I couldn't save her. I couldn't save her. I might also be at fault for not building up an amicable relationship with the village. If Rika Furde had told me about it, I might have been able to extend a helping hand. I wasn't able to build up enough trust for that. That's something I regret. When Oishi said the word trust, it weighed on me even more. Yes, she had given me her trust. She trusted me. Meaning that she thought that I would have been able to ward off the fate of her foreseen death. She believed in that. I cried. I fell to my hands and knees as I began to bawl. Eventually, Oishi spoke quietly. Akasaka-san, does it upset you? No. It does. Then there's only one way worth mentioning for Rika Furde to have her revenge. Is there really? Is there a way to do that? Oishi showed me the pen and notebook. In order to properly mourn the death of Rika Furde, we have to at least find out the truth. The truth? Yes, and not just Rika Furde. Lots of people died. Their lament must be immeasurable. But their deaths were left unsettled because of the disaster, and now we can't even investigate them as their memory fades into oblivion. Many people died! The old man was killed, Kuma-chan was erased, everybody was a victim! The police can't even investigate it. Who's going to take care of their parting regrets? Only we can, Akasaka-san. We find the truth. Yeah, we'll find it. I've been around every one of the string of mysterious deaths and know all of the inner workings of the village. You were told an important truth the year before they happened by Rika Furde. We can do it. But they're already dead. Oh. That's right. Rika Furde died. You were too experienced, so you couldn't save her. Oh my god. Oishi grabbed me, who was a wreck, and lifted me firmly by the lapels. That's why. To atone for that, we reveal the truth. What you say is true, then all the incidents were part of some greater design. That's the case, and how we investigate needs to change completely. I intend to spend tonight summarizing all the information you and I have, and then get in contact with one of my former subordinates first thing in the morning. We're not going to let the case go cold. We're definitely going to crack it wide open. Crack it open. Crack it open! We will. Several years have passed, but it's not beyond the statute of limitations. Even if the case has been postponed, it's not closed. It's still going. We're going to keep it going. Yeah, right. Let's do it, Oishi-san. I won't let it end like this. I'm certain we will uncover the truth. We absolutely will. I demonstrated my resolve to Oishi by crying out those words. I wonder what the hostess thinks. And just then, yeah. Yeah, I was wondering what was going on with his daughter. What I meant was that she wasn't actually trying to harm him at all and wasn't ever really trying to do anything evil. Yeah, I think it was just that this also came through a bit in the mother's diary, that Rika has like basically two personalities, where sometimes she's just the normal Rika kid, and sometimes she can't hold her inner adult back and she just acts like it's totally normal for her to know everything she does. So I think that she's not really able anymore to show her emotions and act upon them properly. I feel like she's become too calculating, and that's why Akasaka had trouble actually picking up on the urgency of her prediction. Papa? The sliding door behind me opened and Miyuki revealed herself while sleepily rubbing her eyes. My shouting must have awoken her. Then she rushed over to me. "What's wrong, Papa? Papa, why are you crying?" Oh, it's nothing, Miyuki, it's nothing. I tried hard to smile while wiping away my tears, and so Miyuki looked like she was about to cry herself. She extended her little hand to me. This is totally the girl from the opening. She has to be. They can't just give her a sprite and introduce her like that as if she's super important and then we never go back to her. Miyuki's his daughter, yeah. She's like 7 or something now. And we've seen a girl that looks similar to her, but like 10 years older, in the opening to the game. I would play the opening again, but it's gonna get me a copyright strike, and I don't want that. Are you alright? Did you have another scary dream? Don't cry, Papa. When she makes that gesture toward me, I saw the figure of another girl overlapping with her, and her innocent gaze and innocent expression felt frustratingly nostalgic, filling me with painful torment. A girl who couldn't be here because I didn't reach out to her. When will they eat the bugs and drink the soy? What the hell are you talking about? She borrowed my daughter's body to offer me words of comfort. Akasaka, please don't cry. Might be a hallucination. Maybe a convenient illusion formed from my selfish dreams. However, that was her voice. I'm certain I heard it. Rather than blaming me for my mistake, she was compassionate. Why am I crying? After all, I have something more important to do than crying. Miyuki, before you were born, Papa met a girl in Hinamizawa who was like an angel. An angel? Really? Yeah, she was cute and kind. I wanted her to meet you, Miyuki. Right, that's already an impossible wish. That future is already gone. Then I want to be friends with that girl. I'm looking forward to it. Next time you go, take me with you. To Hinamizawa. Even so, there's still something I can do. Of course. We'll meet her together someday. I'm sure of it. Yep. Why was her face basically the same size as the fucking moon? Someday, I'm sure, we will see her again. That summer, the Higurashi cried in Hinamizawa. Ueshi and I vowed to bring the truth of the case to light and stood up. Everything ended in 1985. I, at least wanting to apologize, had searched for her grave. After the state autopsy, her remains were entrusted to one of the shrine's followers. In the future, when the quarantine on the Hinamizawa area was lifted, they would be returned to her family grave. However, unsure who exactly took the remains of Rikafude, until today I couldn't even apologize to her. In the future, when the quarantine on Hinamizawa is lifted, all I could do then was wait until whoever that person is returned to the grave. What I could do right now was not apologize to her. Instead, until I was able to meet her again, I would reveal the truth and dispel her regrets. Even now, sporadic eruptions of gas in the Hinamizawa area meant that the prospect of the quarantine being lifted wasn't happening anytime soon. Most likely, it seemed that she had no intention of meeting me again until I found the truth. That's why the quarantine wouldn't be lifted, or so I thought, until the day I grasped the truth. It was the following year. Oishi and I co-authored a book on the string of mysterious deaths leading up to the Great Hinamizawa disaster. I decided on the title. Higurashi. When they cry. Wait, so... Is... So is what we're playing just like a I don't get it. Yeah, title drop, I know, but like it makes no sense. Maybe this is I still stand by my Rika being the author of the story, the games. It's a retelling of her experiences, theory. That was because for those few days in Hinamizawa, I was in Hinamizawa, the sounds that I remembered the most was the cry of the Higurashi. Yeah, by the way, like, even after we're done with this series in like 5 years, I'll never forget that sounds. Like, those Higurashi crying, I don't think I'll ever not remember those. Roll credits, yeah, that's gonna happen. I could only wish that based on this book, those people involved with what incident could refresh their memories and brings to light a new truth. And more importantly, that nothing like this ever happens again. I wrote this in the afterword. Why did this tragedy happen? We can't reach the truth by ourselves. If you're reading this, please discover the truth. This is our only wish. Isn't that what the first game opens up with? Like, obviously without those in the... I think one game opened up with that. This year, the quarantine on Hinamizawa still hasn't been lifted. Yeah, this year, what year? We still thinking 1986? The bass boost, yeah, that kind of killed my ears. So... Okay, that was an interesting ending for this whole thing. Like, the game should have been like a third as long as it was. This game kind of felt like an answer arc in of itself. What I think this game was supposed to do was lay a foundation for what the actual problem is. Like, it didn't answer barely. It answered nothing. Like, we have no ideas still, but it at least gave us everything we now need to actually tackle the mystery, right? Like, I feel like now we have all the hints that we could need, and if I sit down and have everything that happened in front of me and take like 500 hours to make a spreadsheet, I think we could at least start solving it. So what's the actual problem? What do you think? I said that. I stand by my idea that Rika is being reincarnated in some way. I don't know how or what or when, blah, blah, blah. But I think she is reliving this summer as the only one who always remembers that she is real. Like, I think that basically the city or the town is stuck in a loop. And Rika is the only one, for some reason, maybe because she has contact to Oyashiro-sama, and he tries to solve it, and the only person who can hear him is Rika or something. So Rika is the only person that actually remembers what happens. And she is the actual main character of the game and the one that has to get through that summer without dying, or without anyone dying, really. Because this might sound stupid, but like, we didn't really know that before, right? Rika was very much in the background of the lore. She was a bit weird and sometimes dropped some info she shouldn't have, but nothing that major. And now, from what we got here, everything kind of revolves around her, not around Keiichi, right? I think Keiichi plays some role, and it feels to me like she is trying, Rika is trying to steer Keiichi into not being an idiot for one timeline. But I don't think that he's actually the one that solves everything in the end, or could solve everything in the end. I think that Rika is the one that is actually in power. And this whole thing is somewhat of a retelling of her trial and error. Yeah, that's what I mean. They let us know what her deal is, and that's a big reveal. Yes, but they didn't actually answer any question. Like, we still have no actual answers on what's going on. It's still all just conjecture. Do you think Higurashi has any fantasy elements, like demons? No. I think that this is... I would honestly expect this to not have any thing that would be explainable only by supernatural means, because that would make the whole idea of solving this very stupid and kind of disappointing. Because if at some point the author just pulls like, oh yeah, and here there was an actual demon, and he came from the swamp, from hell, and he ate somebody, and that would just be dumb, because that's not something that you would expect, and it just kind of dilutes the mystery and the writing if everything could from then on potentially just be... It would just be lazy writing, you know? And I don't think he's gonna do that. You like Umineko series then? Yeah, I heard that Umineko is more of a murder mystery than Higurashi is. I don't really know a lot about Umineko other than knowing one track from the OST, which is an insane banger, and that the anime is apparently really bad. But... Oh, and that it has apparently a lot more characters and also playtime than Higurashi already does. Like, somebody told me I probably won't be able to voice Umineko the way I do Higurashi, because Umineko has like 5 times the characters. And that kind of scares me, to be honest. Because if that's true, then I'm not voicing that the way I'm voicing this. I have no idea how I would do that. I'm gonna need clones. You have to hire my services to voice? I can't have you voicing stuff at like 3 a.m. your time. Your mom is gonna kill you. I don't I don't know. Move out first. Umineko anime is fine, but it's only the question arcs, so half the story. Well, that's kind of stupid. 5 indistinguishable Elmo voices. It's not just gonna be 5. Anyways, we still have the review session to read, which will be fun because all cast in this game will mean no cast, because the game barely had any characters. I'll sum up my thoughts on the game itself at the end, by the way. Oh, Oishi had dropped his yukata. That's a shame. Thank you very much for playing Higurashi when they cry, Himatsubushi.
My, oh my, no matter what anybody else says, I was the star of this scenario this time. On top of that, they added some nice jazzy theme music. True! I love that they acknowledged the Oishi theme. If you can't laugh here, where can you laugh?
Anyways, hasn't there been too much of you lately, Oishi?
Damn. Huh? What do you mean by that? Rika-san. The fuck? Oh. Okay, so the characters that aren't in the game are still here. Okay. Why can we never escape the porno diner? Because we love it. I would spend all day here. I would spend way too. I would spend more money on this diner than I'm spending on gacha games. Game's finally good again. She meant that. She meant that literally. Oh god. Oh no. I thought we were lost. I was not prepared to do that today. Shit.
It's rather impudent of you to try and hog the spotlight here, even though you already had all that screen time.
God, that hurts my fucking what?
Besides, Rika-chan, who was the main heroine, everybody else didn't really have any appearances, did they? I heard that this time the scenario was a bit of a side story, but I didn't think that they would leave out the main cast this much.
You didn't have it so bad, Mion-san. At least you had a few appearances, didn't you not? Did you not? Both Rena-san and I didn't even have a cameo.
Yeah, ask yourself why that is.
Rena still shows up on the covers a lot, so she's still okay.
Mion showed up as a kid, yeah, for like 2 minutes.
Exactly what are you trying to say then? That I was the only outcast with no appearance, is that it?
Nipa.
They only treated me horribly.
How sad, how sad. They'll probably just keep treating you worse and worse until you finally drop down to a supporting role.
This is the best part of the game. They are so fucking self-aware. I love it. I'm not, nah.
That's just too much.
No, that's exactly the right. Okay. I also saw Mion in one of the tips previews. Oh yeah, but it's also Kid Mion, right?
That's not true. There's lots of people who like Sadako-chan. They won't treat you that horribly, okay?
I don't like being treated like this.
I think you'll probably have a lot of appearances next time. Next time. So cheer up, okay?
But I heard that this scenario was supposed to be somewhat of a bonus story. But is it really? I think that things kind of got complicated.
The story was difficult for me to understand.
Sadako deserves the game from her perspective. I forgot that Tony is a Sadako fan.
Yeah. What I found the hardest to believe was that the year before the string of mysterious deaths, Rika-chan already knew about them.
Which means all the incidents were part of someone's scenario. That's a pretty important piece of information.
It's probably because I'm a shrine maiden, so I knew the future from Oyashiro-sama's divine revelations. For somebody like me who believes in the theory that it was the work of human culprits, I'd like to deny that.
I believe in the curse, so that Rika-chan, who's the living incarnation of the deity that protects Hinamizawa, Oyashiro-sama, could have that divine power is a possibility, I think.
Nope. Nope. For someone who thinks it was the work of a man, that kind of unfounded fantasy will not stand. All the incidents were caused by people. There's no curse or magic or aimbots or cheat codes. Well, that got meta. It's very weird for me to voice these characters again after more than half a year of not doing it.
It would be wonderful if I could use magic, though. If it's Rika-chan, I could get along with that. How?
Well, for the people who believe it was the work of humans, the ending was a big revelation. From the first incident until Rika-chan was killed in the Great Disaster, everything was scripted. Knowing that it's all one big incident vastly increases the amount of material you can hypothesize with.
I think that the prophecy is proof in itself that Rika-chan has some divine power. In other words, it's proof that there's some mysterious power at work in Hinamizawa. I think it's proof that the incidents weren't the work of humans alone.
No, I think the murders are actually all humans, but the surrounding circumstances have some fantasy elements, like the time reversal stuff and potentially Oyashiro-sama.
The inside of my head is so muddled. I don't know what's going on.
Oh, that's right. More importantly, that expression that Rika-chan was wearing this time, that was super scary, wasn't it? No, it was not. It was, like, actually more cute than scary. I think that they messed up that part most of all.
Me. Yeah, I was surprised too. I never thought that cute little Rika-chan would laugh like that.
Hey, just for a little bit, could you show us that face one more time?
I don't want to. I don't want her to do that outside of this story. How?
Thank God.
What is this? A blackout?
Why are we having the scary music? Isn't that the music that played when Mion is about to kill us?
Nobody move! Any weird movements and you'll come face to face with synchronized Gatling guns, multiple homing missiles, and be cut up by laser sabers for the finisher!
Sadako? What's the meaning of this?
Well, now we're starting the after party for everybody who didn't have an appearance this time. Thanks for that wonderful introduction. Hello again, everybody.
I didn't think I'd have an appearance here of all places. I'm delighted though. Sadako-chan, thank you.
Wow, hello everybody.
What, did someone upskirt her?
Oh my, didn't I warn you not to move?
Ryogo-san, are you okay? Hojo-san, you didn't have to go this far.
Huh? Oh, the grudge of somebody not making an appearance is a terrible thing.
Sadako had lots of appearances in the main scenario. Yeah, way too many actually. Why is the teacher here? Because she didn't appear in the story. Right? She did appear in the tips though. Can we throw her out the window? Please. And yes, I'm hoping for Shion as well. The grudge of somebody not making an appearance. Damn it. When was she able to set this many traps?
Maybe that when this place was selected as the venue for the after party, at that point my traps were already set. Oh, I know. There's somebody behind you pulling the strings. There is, isn't there? Come out.
Yes. Game is good again. How did... Let's just be real here. How did they make Shion like 5 million times hotter than Mion when they are twins? How can a change in outfit and hairstyle do so much for the visual attractiveness of a character? The fact that she's also kind of messed up in the head and my type probably helps, but you know, I have no idea how I voiced Shion. Change the sprite. How did I do that again? Was it F? No. Oh. F is full screen. Inochi loves the insane ones. Yes, I do. Was it G? Wait, let's save before I do something bad. Save. Don't change the sprite, but I want to. Dude, it has to be... characters. Like Mion's hair more? I don't. I love Shion's hair. I love... She... no. S, maybe? No. R? E? Q? Y? D? G? H? T? Z? U? I? O? P? P! It's P! It's P. Okay. P for... picture. I mean, I like ponytails a lot, but I don't think... I don't think that Mion's ponytail does a lot for her. And... yeah. Alright. I don't want to see it, but I'm gonna cycle through the sprites, so... yeah, no. Okay. Moving on. They buffed her chest size like great. You guys are only looking at the chest. Can you please... what I was looking at more was how they buffed her hips. Can we... also, her pose is just like... why did they make her look like a sexy secretary in the remake sprite? And I'm not standing up. Actually, you know what? I am. Together with my desk. That's a good idea. Get that blood pumping into my feet. No. What is Shion? What do you expect? Why would I care about hips? Because that's what you see from behind. You'll understand when you're older.
Hello, my sister. How are you doing? Oh, it's Shi-chan. Hello.
Oh, is she gonna set the traps all the time? I think your feet isn't the only place getting blood rushing to it, maybe.
I feel sorry for her falling for the same trap twice. I thought it was you, Shion. Even though you get to be the main character for a scenario, this is how you behave.
Look, what I don't like about Mion's hair isn't the ponytail, it's her bangs. I don't think they do anything for her. I know every like anime characters have bangs because it makes the design better to look at from the front. Sure, character design 101, I get it. But like I don't know. She looks like that one 2004 World of Warcraft night elf hairstyle that every female night elf had, and I don't like it. And I think it looks bloated, and hair doesn't naturally look like that at all. I just think her hair looks weird. Just me though. How does her remake sprite look? Scary. She looks way scarier. I kind of like the remake sprites. I'm not gonna switch over to them, but I don't hate them. They look maybe a bit too clean. They look a bit like AI. Also, ways I'm not gonna ask. Like these look more natural to where it looks a bit like a early 2000s anime, right? While these look cleaned up, but very much modernized, which makes sense because it's the remake, but you get what I mean. Even though you get to be the main character for a scenario, this is how you behave. Wait, Shion gets the main character? Now you've gone and done it. Even if it's only the bonus scene before the answer arcs, I can't let my sister have all the appearances. I'm not that generous, you know. Well, in any case, I just let Sadako start a little something something. Shion, what is it that you want? Let's just say I'm securing myself a little safety buffer. The other day, for some reason, you were steadily getting more votes in the popularity poll. That can't be true. That just cannot be true. I don't believe that. Console nerfs the sex appeal, but in general, the art style is much nicer. Yeah, it looks more in line with how I would react the game to look at or the story and the characters in an anime. Yeah, they're lying. Yep. In the first half of the Watanagashi chapter, there were a lot of people getting infatuated with me-chan. No. When your malicious side made its appearance, all the players finally started noticing my charm. Sadako also earned a good reputation during the Tatari Goroshi arc. No. Rena and Rika-chan have a strong baseline of support. Your popularity has long since faded away. That's why I thought I'd take the time now to crush you and Sadako, who've been getting too many votes for my comfort. So I came up with this elaborate plan. Shion-san, what did you say just now? You're going to crush me as well? Yeah, please do. You're a little slow to notice, aren't you, Shorty? Here you go. What? What the hell were those sound effects? Oh no. Aw. I don't think the malicious side made anyone swap over to Mia. No, I think she got more fans because of that. Goodbye, all you regulars. Hello to all you irregular folk. All the main characters are done for. Shion-chan, you don't have to go that far. Probably. No, Jiro-san. It's interesting, so just let it be. The number of appearances for the both of us is going to go up now, you know. Jiro-san, do you not like being by my side? She is the main antagonist of this game, by the way. I'm still calling that. That's not true. Jie-sensei, did Shi-chan pay you off too? I'm sorry, Ryuko-san.
Shion-san said she would make me a new segment called Teach Me, Chie-sensei, starting next scenario. That sounds like a fetish segment. Oh god. Still waiting for Keiichi to appear? No, he can stay the fuck away. I wonder where Akasaka is, though. So I just... Well then, who should I dispose of next in a most embarrassing manner? Maybe Sadako, since she helped me set this all up? Didn't she already dispose of Sadako? I won't allow that. Who is that? Yeah. Oh no. The pedophile. Of course it's the fucking pedophile when it's about Sadako. Why him? I don't want to voice this guy, man. I have to I have to do the gay voice. I don't want to do that. Is that ding? Okay. I won't allow that. Yeah. Coach? He seems somehow reliable for once. I, Kyosuke Irie, shall not allow any aggression against Sadako-chan. I may also just be a supporting character, but don't think you can persuade me so easily. Oh, then you're saying you want to withdraw from being the lead in documentary Sadako's maid training dress-up chapter that we planned on filming after this? This is getting too weird. Shion-sama. I, Kyosuke Irie, shall follow you to the depths of hell. That was fast. Well then, with this I'm holding all the cards, even in this after party scene too. I'll have everything proceed as I see fit. Huh? We're missing somebody. Shion-sama. Ryogo-san isn't here. She escaped at some point. There she is. Ryogo-san. Didn't I just tell you you shouldn't move?
Rena-chan, I won't do anything to hurt you, but it's easier if you don't resist.
Don't say that to a teenage girl, please.
Sorry, but all of this is really bizarre. What are you trying to do? The Miyakashi script? I see, you're planning to secure your role before any of your lines get cut out, aren't you? Resistance is futile. Rena-san, you should stop your pointless resistance and just come along peacefully. If you make me angry enough, then not only will you suffer, but so will my dear sister as well. You can't do anything just by getting your hands on the script. Rena, I'm sorry, but what do they want? Do what they say? It's alright, don't worry. Now that we have the Miyakashi script, we can reverse the situation. Reverse the situation? Exactly what are you scheming? Rena-san, you're pretty good at making me laugh. Then why don't you go ahead and try? Show me how you're going to turn this around. You're spoiled, Shi-chan. Even if you didn't have any appearances in the main scenario, you've had so much screen time during this after party. You're spoiled. When exactly are you saying I was spoiled? You don't understand, Shi-chan. Even if it's just the after party, you still have an appearance. You also appeared a lot in the previous scenarios. There's somebody who resents you from the depths of hell, who can't forgive you. Listen, can't you hear it, Shi-chan?
If they pull out the fucking principal now, I'm gonna lose it.
That's right. I understand now.
Oh, it's Keiichi because he hasn't appeared in this game at all.
I get it. Kai-chan. That's right. He never has any appearances during the after parties. There's no way Kei-chan would allow somebody to monopolize the after parties all to themselves without him. I see. So, how is Kei-chan going to appear here when he's still at the studio recording lines? It's not as if anyone here will have surpassed his workload. That's just your self-centered way of thinking, Shi-chan. Gah! No! That's the voiced word count from Akasaka's part. Chie-sensei, hold Rena-chan back. Huh? Huh? It's too late. It's finally your time, Kage-kun.
Oh, I can finally use my own voice again. The first thing I have to do is coo.
That voice is Kai-chan. No way. He's still supposed to be recording lines at the studio.
Oh. Yeah, right. I was until just now. Every time I get left at the studio, I get told, you can join the after party if you beat someone on the remaining word count. But I always have 2 or 3 times the script volume of the other characters, making it impossible. It's like the sound director doesn't want to let me join the party from the get-go. At least that's what I had thought. But finally, someone overtook me. A certain character. Shion, feast your eyes on this! Huh? That's right. Now she's appearing in more scenes as the main character. Shion has to speak twice the lines she's... Wait, what? Shion as the main character? What is this about? Please tell me it's for the 5th chapter and not a spin-off of some sort. And since Shion and Mion have the same voice actor cast, that's double again. As a result, I've finally been excused from staying back, meaning Shion, it's your turn to be left behind. No way! I have to speak this much for Miyakashi. Let's say Kei-chan has about 500, and Shion has over 2,700. That's like the total for all the characters together in a normal adventure game. Holy shit, this game is going to be long. 2,700 lines. Not words, like lines to read in. Full sentences. Rip voice. Thank fucking God this is not Sadako. The game won't be the only thing that's long. Okay, good. That yeah. True. I gotta play the whole game standing. Further, adding Mion's lines makes a total of... What? I don't want to know. So, with that, Rena, you have my thanks when even the moon abandons the land and shrouds it in true darkness. The demon lord of the darkest black. The biggest fucking weeb ever. Keiichi Maebara shall appear. I see. If it's like this, he can appear even if he doesn't have any character art. There's no character or background art, so it's really easy on the production staff. Shion, you act like you're the main character in a tragedy, but from my point of view, it's more like a comedy. It seems like you've gotten a little carried away every after party. Always being last in the studio, missing every after recording meal. Witness my anger, my grudge, and all of my sorrow. I shall instill it all upon you. It almost seems like Kage-kun is doing some sort of bad guy transformation sequence. This isn't some sort of transformation. I'll have you know I've always been a demon lord.
And as of right now, this world, which is enveloped within the true darkness, shall dance upon the palm of my hand. Within this world of darkness, there are none who can oppose me. Why is he such a fucking weeb?
It's kind of scary. How?
Scary. The age of the frightening Higurashi has come to an end. From here on out begins the dawn of a perverted and cutesy Higurashi. I'm down. What did you say? Maebara-sama, bring me with you. You know it, coach. Then as a first step, I'll show our... I'm not reading that. I'm not reading that. Okay. I'm way too committed to this shit. Then, as a first step, I'll show our doctor cum coach my power. Yeah. Is he putting everybody in different outfits? Is that why the boing sound is there? Yeah. What is this? Takano-san is in a mini-skirt nurse outfit, and it's not some pink one like you'd find in a galge. He knows what he's doing. It's a proper, pure, and innocent white. Even though she's a nurse, she doesn't appear in the outfit even once during the main scenario. You've got to be kidding me! Well then, on to the next target. Rena! This hasn't changed the situation at all. It's just turned into a different type of crisis.
How? I can't do anything in this darkness.
Now then, who should I make wear what next? Maybe a nice school uniform, gym clothes, school swimsuit triple combo? Maebara-sama, you're the best! How about a bunny girl? Or both, babe? No, a leotard could be good too. No, wait. How about just making everybody hyper sexy? But of course, leave the socks on. Oh, that's a good idea. You know your stuff. Coach, I feel like we're finally seeing eye to eye here. Wait. Maebara-san. No. Okay. Call me Edie from now. Call me Dr. Edie. Holy Kai. You can't forget about us. She's still here. Tommy and Cloud are already on your side, Kai. Who the hell are Tommy and Cloud? Tommy! Cloud! We're all finally here. The Elite Four have arrived! Finally. With Kay at their head, the evil Elite Four made their grand entrance. With the complete darkness, the Demon Lord of the Darkest Black, Keiichi Maebara, was finally able to reach the surface world. His magical power was without equal. In this darkness, nobody could stand against him. All must bow. Will the heroines be unable to escape this darkness and be forced to submit to the will of the Demon Lord, forced to wear embarrassing outfit after embarrassing outfit, being used as life-size dress-up dolls for all eternity? That's great. More. By the way, the school swimsuits are the classic type, right? I won't forgive you if they're the competitive swimming style. Damn it. Shion, thanks to you it ended up like this, so do something about it.
It's alright, sis. Kei-chan isn't the only one who can unleash their true power amid the darkness. Huh? Do we have such a convenient ally?
You're rather impertinent, Shion Sonozaki. Also, if you were expecting help from the principal, that's too bad. They did acknowledge the principal. This is just peak. This is the true ultimate desire of young men. If you call yourself a man, do your best. It's written on this nice little authorization slip here. Of course, you won't be able to rely on the newcomer Akasaka-san either. He's been on a private couple's hot spring vacation. His wife's family set up for them since yesterday. In other words, all the bases are covered.
You're so naive, Kei-chan. Even characters who have art are able to reveal their true form in the darkness.
Chie-sensei!
That's how it is, Maebara-kun.
It's so dark. It's dark, so I can't really tell, but it seems like Chie-sensei's outfit is different. What are those? All those swords in her hands. They couldn't be. The black!
Any more than that is a secret, Ipa. Maebara-kun, that was just a little too much mischief on your part. The church can't overlook any more than this.
What? Wait a minute. This here, there's no way, right? That's cheating. It's against the rules. Hey, she can't do this, right? Wait, how did I switch the soundtrack just now? I pressed my mouse. Wait, you can't use that big one. Huh? Her arc drive has startup invincibility? Wait, Wario? Fucking hell. The 7th, huh? Gah! That is the end. She has a DP input. Okay, that was... Oh, it's not over. I thought it was. This is way too good to be already over.
Hello again. Thank you very much for playing Higurashi When They Cry, Himatsubushi. I think you already know this, but Higurashi When They Cry is a type of visual novel without any choices. Therefore, compared to adventure-type visual novels with branching routes to take, it's much closer to the experience of a book or a movie. Because of that, there is the opinion out there that this should not be called a game, per se. If you're just watching it like a book or movie, Higurashi When They Cry isn't really a game, true. That's why, as you know, there are a lot of mysteries referenced during the course of the experience. When you challenge those, this work will become a proper game. All the players have the privileges of scrutinizing this mystery-packed story from all sorts of angles. For example, forming a theory about the mysteries during the course of the story, sharing them with your friends, and receiving their theories in return could be fun. In any case, the next chapter starts the answer arcs. We've tentatively called it Meakashi.
That means some... Meakashi means eye-opening, right? I think that's a really good... a really good metaphor for starting the answer arcs.
But answers are a sad thing. Based on what is revealed, all the possibilities that you were allowed to imagine until now will suddenly become refined down to a few. Based on that logic, we think that right here, before the answer arcs, is probably where people can enjoy this work we call Higurashi When They Cry the most. If by chance, while you are reading this, you already have the Meakashi chapter at hand, please enjoy hypothesizing, theorizing, and fantasizing to the fullest before you start. That's where the real charm of the series takes place. Sorry for saying something so impudent. There's nothing better we'd like than for you to enjoy Higurashi When They Cry. Well then, have a long and pleasant night. We're waiting for you all in Hinamizawa. If you come and play with Rena, I'd love to go treasure hunting together. How?
All right. That was really cool way to end this, by the way. That was silly. Yes, it was silly. That was hella funny. But also, like, that last bit with Rena, I think was really cool because I've been saying this for a while when somebody says, like, when somebody comes in here from the Elden Ring streams or something else we were playing at the time and goes like, damn, man, this is so boring to watch. I mean, yes. If you just like if you go to watch a very story heavy movie, but you come in every 30 minutes of the runtime for 5 minutes, barely paying attention and then leaving again, then you're not going to enjoy the movie because you can't enjoy the story because you don't even understand what's going on. Yes, the games are hella long-winded sometimes, and they definitely need some more concise writing in specific points, especially in this one, because, well, this game was definitely the worst out of the 4 in my opinion. But the main story is still something I haven't really ever seen do into in a video game or any kind of story so far. I find that very interesting because the game actively encourages you to not only think about stuff that happens before they give you a solution, they also want you to share those opinions. And I'm not Japanese. I didn't play these games when they came out, but I can see, like, back then Reddit wasn't a thing, but forums, right? Being ablaze with theories about these games, people sharing their ideas between the time the chapters came out, forming theories, making groups of forming groups of people that have the same ideas and they try to figure it out together. Something like that isn't really like that I don't think that ever happened before or after in any kind of gaming community. And even though I criticize the writing of the games a lot, I do think that at the core of the game's story and writing, this is geniusly made because you need a ton of skill and foresight to write a story that is so complex that people can really, across multiple entries of the series, multiple hints given to the players, still not figure everything out, still make it all make sense in what happens, right? Like, it's not like these games are incohesive stories. They all make sense if you don't try to solve the mystery and are enjoyable on their own. But then on top of that, writing a story that is like so large and interconnected that you can theorize about it for hours and hours. And honestly, I have no idea if the actual mystery was ever confirmed to be solved. That is really, really impressive. And I'm feeling, personally, this might sound sobby, but I feel thankful that I have people like you guys around here who I can play these games with and theorize while going through them and have like a community experience of figuring out these games, finding new things, coming up with new tips and new theories and building upon those. It's a shame that I took so long to come back to this because I feel like it took the wind out of the sails a bit. But I really mean that. And thank you, Yaya, too, for following on Twitch. That was unexpected, but thank you very much. And yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on this. Higu Peak. It's true. It's kind. I get why people might think this is boring to watch on a stream, especially since I play mostly gameplay focused stuff most of the time. But I think this is still a very good series to play, and I'm glad we picked this up. I'm very thankful for the people who brought my attention to this when we first started. And yes, I do think it's soppy, but still. So yeah, Why are we missing an achievement? Read all tips. Okay. Yeah, okay. The tips are something else. The tips often are just like little tidbits. I don't want to read those on stream because they also sometimes have absolutely no correlation to what just happened in a chapter. So it's weird sometimes. I'm not going to read those. Maybe I'll read those before I actually write my big review on the game. But yeah. It's been 2 years and he's finally going to play Hollow Knight. Yeah, that's the thing. Wait. So for those that are not aware, I hope I'm not somehow doxing myself now by opening this app. We're gonna do that right now. Hollow Knight, last time I checked, was on Game Pass, and it still is. That's great because that means I can play it. That's where you live. You guys know where I live, basically, because at this point you can Google Earth me. I've told you guys so much about my neighborhood. It shouldn't be an issue for you. Anyways, installing Hollow Knight. I hope the stream doesn't die from sudden download. That's what we're gonna do next. We're gonna continue playing Elden Ring. Of course. I think we're somewhat close to being done with that. And on Fridays, instead of immediately jumping into the next Higurashi, we're gonna do Hollow Knight. And then we're either gonna finish Elden Ring or Hollow Knight first. And then we're gonna continue with Higurashi. After Elden Ring Higurashi, depending on what is done first, yes, like the next open slot basically is gonna go to Higurashi 5. Which, oh my god. You know, I'm a bit scared because doesn't not if the game is actually played from Shion's perspective, which I fully support, wouldn't that mean that we don't see her sprite? Because we never saw Keiichi's sprite when we were playing as him. I mean, I'm still happy we were gonna have a whole game around Shion because she's just like the literal best character in this whole game. But that would also kind of suck. So give us at least her sister. I want both. Think you can finish Elden Ring in 3 streams or so? Yeah, so it's not even gonna be that long of a break between the Higurashi games. I want to check something though. We have like Higurashi. Wait, why were 21 titles excluded? Can we show these? How does that work? I mean, there's 8. We're 7 and 6. You'll see Keiichi's sprite. I'm not sure if I'm gonna be happy about that. Huh? But it's not here. Maybe do I have them ignored? I do. Okay. There's... What are you trying to check? How many games we have left? Can I... What is that? Who is that? What the fuck is that? Also nudity and sexual content? Oh my god, I'm clicking on that. What the fuck? Am I spoiling myself right now? What game is that? What is Ho Plus? I've never heard of that. Why is that a game? What kind of game is... When do I play that? I think the only one who knows Higurashi is Tony, right? 4 games left, but what is this then? And let's check here. That was the I don't know why I'm not seeing these. Then we got Ho. Huh? So there's Ho Plus and Ho and Ray in chapter 2. Okay, we played that. Played 3. 5 is the one that's coming up. Then 6, 4, 7. Another. I just saw like 5 characters I've never seen in my life. Like, look at that. We got. What the hell? We got more what the hell? We got Ray. I've never seen that before. Never heard of that game before. So you're saying these are side games, and yeah, I can ignore them, but do I want to ignore them? Isn't this like still a full story? Wasn't 4 also considered a side game? Higurashi has a lot of weird side stories. Stop spoiling yourself. We're not really being spoiled just because I see a character I have no relation to. It's not like Steam shows actual spoilers in their previews. I've never seen them do that. Also, this game sounds very interesting. I like Neptunia. What is Sisters versus Sisters? Yeah, I'm buying that. Except they do sometimes. Do they do that for Hollow Knight? Hollow Knight already done? No, it's taking a long time. Alright, okay, I'll stop checking the games, I'm sorry. Many of the stories aren't even in Hinamizawa and have different characters. Okay, so maybe I can play these off stream then, if nobody wants to actually watch them, if they're not interesting story, but I want to see them for myself. They show bosses usually, which you can kind of spoil. Yeah, I guess. I guess so, yeah. Okay. Main story is 8 games. Then we're gonna play these in order, and when we're done, we can still decide what we're gonna do after that, right? If we're gonna go to... Where is it? Here. To this. She's cute, by the way. Good. Apparently in this game, they have all of them, like... in like all the question arcs in one game, basically. So I'm not sure how we're gonna handle those. Stream previews definitely show spoilers. Okay. Okay. I don't feel like we spoiled ourselves by seeing a character I haven't ever seen before, but maybe we got lucky. But these are gonna be super long, right? And then I think the author Ryokishi also did another game series in the When They Cry franchise thingy that only has one part so far because he then went on to do this. Is the game on Steam? No. Silent Hill F, which comes out this year, is also written by the dude. So I'm interested in picking that up actually because I've never played a Silent Hill game apart from the first 2 hours of Silent Hill 1. So I don't think they're connected. But having this dude go from basically indie visual novel dev to writing the story for one of the biggest horror franchises in gaming sounds interesting to me. I don't know if we're going to play that on stream or not. We'll see. But we still got a lot to go through here in terms of Ryokishi games. And I feel like I've talked a lot about nothing. So, we're done a bit early today. Is the Elden Ring trailer already out? Or is that only in like an hour? Silent Hill with Sadako and Keiichi. Yeah, Silent Hill with Sadako sounds very scary, actually. Elden Ring. Let me look for it. Night Rain trailer. Here it is. Play too fast. Yeah, shit. Damn it. Yeah, so I guess in an hour or so we could watch that, but no point staying alive just to see a trailer of a game. I'm not even sure yet if I'm gonna buy it at launch. So yeah. Anyways, we're done a bit early today. I expected that. We played pretty much everything we could in Higurashi. We even read some of the tips, and they weren't that great. I've got a little surprise for you guys next week, starting Wednesday. Hopefully upping the quality of the streams a little bit. I'm not gonna talk about it in depth now, just a little something to let you guys know that I've been working on something, and we're probably gonna see the results of that next week over the weekend. Is it the cat cam? It is not. I can tell you that because ever since I broke up with my girlfriend, the cats changed, and they don't spend most afternoons in my room here, in my streaming room. I guess Kiriko does right now. I can show you, but most of the time they don't, and I kind of feel like it's a bit of a waste to wait a second, like that. You see her? She's lying in the cat tree and sleeping there. You can barely make her out. Maybe I can make it a bit bigger. You can see her ass. Yeah, for some reason they just don't really spend a lot of time here anymore over the afternoon. So having a cat cam, the only real way I could do that would be by having a cat cam that is smart and tracks the cat, you know? Cameras like that exist, but they cost multiple $100s, and I'm not big enough to afford that just for a gag on stream. I'm gonna be real. So cat cam will have to wait. Maybe if I put out a few successful videos, I can afford that. But for now, nope. But something else. And I personally think it's gonna upgrade the streaming quality quite a bit. And maybe it's gonna be a new camera because mine keeps hanging. I don't know why it does that. That would also be a good idea. I'm gonna write that down. I need a new camera. You're big enough, but in a different way. Yes, I'm fat. Okay. I jiggle. Fuck. Now it hangs again. YouTube doesn't want me to show off the jiggle physics. Nice moves. Thank you. Thank you very much. No, but seriously, I'll let you guys figure it out on your own what it is. You're probably gonna notice it right away. Can jiggle be a redeem? That is actually a fun idea. You know what? We're gonna do that. Just like that. Cusp my moves and jiggle for a bit. We can do that. It's gonna be expensive though. My body isn't cheap. And I'm gonna do German Noji before next week as well. The redeem is already made. I just haven't activated it because for Higurashi, I'm always German Noji when Akasaka is the main character. So that's gonna come in. I'm still not 100%. Holy shit, do you have many points? We need a purge. There will be a lot of jiggling. Okay. Okay. Anyways, that's it for today. Thank you guys for being here. I hope you had a good time. There's a streamer who just does the cat whenever it comes to sit behind the screen. You can do the same. Yeah, I could have like a camera that is set up to activate whenever the cat comes into the room. I could do that. I'll have to look into that. But all of that is expensive stuff, and I only have so much money to buy stuff for the channel for, as long as it's not making any money, really. So sorry. We have a casino redeem. It's called. You can gamble as much as you want. You know, there is gambling for points, not for money, on my channel. He just manually switches it on. Yes, but I'd need one because my cats move around a lot, so I'd need one that is like able to move following a preset target, which is a cat. And I know that cameras like that exist. So it would zoom around the room, go like a 360-degree camera, and it goes like that, and it sees the cat, and then it goes, oh, that's the cat, and it sticks to that for as long as I have it on. So, yeah. Anyways, have a good day, have a good night, have a great weekend. It's supposedly going to be very hot, so maybe go swimming or something, I don't know. I'll see you around. Have a good day.